And the first story I want you to hear is one of the most powerful I've ever heard. Rick Hamilton is with us this morning. Rick, will you come up here? And I'm so grateful you're willing to be with us. And you have your family here today. You have Bonnie and you have Misty. And we're so glad that you're with us this morning. I've known Rick for a long time. I mean, I've seen him ever since I've been in Gainesville. I see him at all these different events. He's very community-minded. He's a businessman. He really cares about this community. And one day he told me a story, and I said, Rick, the day will come when I'm going to want you to tell our church what you told me. Rick, thank you. This is your time.
The first thing I want to say, it's an honor to be able to do this. I feel a tremendous warmth in this church. I'm so proud to be here today. Like the coach first asked me to do this, I immediately said yes. How can I not come in and show my gratitude and appreciation to a church and all the members who support a program that saved my life? My wife for 31 years lived through this, and my daughter's going to hear some things today she's never heard before. But on Friday, February 15th, 1991, I came to that morning. I no longer woke up in the mornings. I just came to from the night before of drinking and using drugs, most of the time to blackout. And this morning was different. And the only way I can describe it is a book I study about people like me that says, someday he will be unable to imagine a life with or without alcohol. He will know loneliness such as few men will ever know. He will be at the jumping off point. He will wish for the end. And that's where I was that morning. I simply wanted my life to end. I could not imagine continuing to drink like I was drinking, and I could not imagine a life without alcohol. I didn't say a word to my wife. I looked at her, and we kept a loaded gun behind her bed, and I thought she's young and beautiful. She's a great person, and she'll find somebody else. And I started making my plans. And for your information, alcoholics and addicts are 60 times more likely to commit suicide than a normal person. And it may show up as a car accident, an overdose, a heart attack, but it's suicide. I made one phone call that day, and this person said, can you not drink until noon and go to a meeting at the Hall Club? And I said, I don't know. What is the Hall Club? I had no idea. But I thought, you know, what have I got to lose? I'll give it a shot. So I didn't drink until noon that day. And I drove up to the Hall Club and I circled the building about 3 times, watching the people go in. And I decided, I'll see what they've got. I've got nothing to lose. Then I'll go about the rest of making my plans to end my life. I know this today, when I walked in that Hall Club, that God did not open the gates of heaven and let me in, but He opened the gates of hell and let me out. Because I was a spiritually, physically, mentally, and financially a bankrupt person. And I learned the first thing I had to work on was my relationship with God. And although I believed in God, I didn't have a relationship with Him, and I didn't want one. When someone would mention God being my Father, it would drive me away from God because I had no relationship with my Father. His addiction helped destroy my family, and I didn't even know where he was. Then guess what happened? I became a father. And when I looked at they put that little girl in my arms, and I looked at her and I thought, God, I get it. If you can love me as much as I love her, I can call you my Father. You can be my Father. And my life changed at that point. I knew I had a lot of work to do, and I was willing to do the work. But that very moment, God entered my heart in a way that I'd never known before. After I did the work, I went and found my Father. I sat down with Him, and I looked at Him, and I told Him I loved Him, and I meant it before He passed away. And that was a miracle for me. The next thing I really looked at was my physical life, and I had received a letter about 6 months prior to that day from my physician saying that I would not live to the age of 40. Based on my blood readings and my liver enzymes, that I would not live to 40. And I resented it very much. I tore up the letter, and I resented the doctor for that. I can tell you today, he's one of my best friends. that he calls me to come out and speak to people he knows that are having a problem. And I wish I had that letter, because I'm 58 years old and I've completed 2 Ironman races. Mentally, I learned my mind is like a bad neighborhood. It's a place I don't want to hang out very much by myself. I need to get out of here and go help somebody else. Financially, I'm living the best life of anybody on the planet Earth today. I don't have the most money. I don't have the most anything. I have a loving relationship with God. I have a loving family. We love being with each other. I have a daughter that's never seen her dad drunk or on drugs. And that is a miracle. And that's thanks to you people in this building. To your membership, supporting the Hall Club, I would not be here today. You know, this is not about me. This is really not. I'll tell you a little bit of my story. This is about the thousands of people, thousands of characters. And trust me, I've seen a lot of characters come through that program and change their lives. And statistics show that every one alcoholic affects 26 other people. That's mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, grandparents, business associates, aunts, uncles, you name it. 26. 26 times the thousands of people I've seen. You do the math. You could fill up 50 of these churches with the number of people you affect positively in their lives just since I've been going to that program. It's an honor for me to stand here and thank you for saving my life, but thank you for all the other lives that you've saved also. You know, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is where Jesus, they bring the paralyzed man to Jesus, and he heals him because of his faith. And Jesus tells him to pick up his mattress and walk with you. And I can tell you that's what's happening right next door. Is when the spiritual malady is overcome in an alcoholic's life, they become well in every other part of their life. Believe it or not, this is not my favorite thing to do. But when I just made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, I did not put any restrictions on that. And I told God to use me wherever He could and whenever He could, as long as I was helping my fellows are doing His work. And there might be somebody out in this audience today, in this crowd, somebody's a member that needs help, that's struggling, having a problem. And I want to tell you this, there is a solution. They do not have to live like that anymore. And I'm available to talk with them. Dr. Coates has my number. You guys saved my life. What would you be willing to do for somebody to save their life? Thank you. God bless you.